Today we're going to be making a decoupage jar. So the items we need to start with, cut yourself a good sized rectangle of cling film. Then we need a paper napkin. It can be any design, any napkins that you might have hanging around at home. We need a jar, so it could be a coffee jar or a jam jar. We need some PVA glue that's been watered down, glue brush, some scissors, some string that we'll use to decorate the top of the jar, and you might want to use some glitter glue to decorate over the top. So take the paper napkin, and we need to separate it because the piece that we're going to work with is just the printed piece of the napkin. So lightly dampen your fingers and then separate. So you pull off the white layers. Get rid of that, we don't need that. There might be another layer, sometimes there's 2 or 3 layers to a napkin. So tease that away from the printed sheet. Get rid of that one. Spread that out. Then we take the jar and we're going to lightly add a layer of glue over the jar. So gently brush the jar with the glue. The easiest way is if you pop your hand inside the jar and then you can keep turning it, work your way around with the glue, making sure you go right down to the bottom of the jar and then I'll put the top on the neck there. Keep working your way around. Turn. Make sure that you've got a good layer of glue all the way around the jar. So the next step is to place the jar on the napkin, leaving a little bit at the edge, and we take the cling film, roll the jar and pull the napkin up using the cling film. So we're not using try not to use our fingers. Actually got to just unwrinkle it there. But use the cling film, because then we're not in danger of tearing the tissue, because once it's wet it's really fragile. Pull the cling film and smooth it out, and then you can rub over the cling film and smooth out the design, getting rid of the wrinkles. Make sure you go around the bottom and around the neck. Keep adjusting and keep moving round. once you're happy with that, remove the cling film and pop your hand inside the jar so that you're not actually touching the tissue with your fingers. It's the easiest way to hold it. Go over with a glue brush any loose bits. Then if you've got a large overlap piece, you can just take the scissors and snip that off. Then with your glue brush, just smooth down the overlap. Just gently go around the base. Any bits that are sticking up, just gently go over. Then we'll remove the excess from the top. So snip around with the scissors so that the napkin is actually at the top of the jar. Just take the PVA and lightly dab that around the neck of the jar. Just helps smooth it down a bit. So you might have noticed there was a bit of a hole there. That's not a disaster. What you do is you take a bit of your napkin, you can use it like a patch. So gently dab some glue on, some PVA, pick up the patch, and then you can smooth that down. Cling film over the top, just so that you can pat round the neck of the jar and smooth it down, keep it in place. And then give it another light brush. That's the first bit finished. So once you've dried your jar, then we can add another layer of PVA, and this layer will act like a varnish over your surface. So you can actually just use watered down PVA, or this might be where you might want to add a layer of glitter glue to give it a bit of a sparkly sheen to it. But just go over gently again, add in another thin layer of PVA. It just seals everything together. And then leave that to dry. So here's a dry jar that I did earlier. It's all finished. And this is how we finish the top edge with the string. This is one that's had string added. Take your jar, and then you need to get some PVA glue that's not been watered down. So it's just that bit thicker. And then you add the glue around the top edge of the jar. just around the neck. And this is where we'll finish it off with the string. So get yourself an end of the string, untie it so that you can roll it round. Pop your finger over the string in place and then work your way round. With the next bit, once you get to the beginning, you kind of take it over the top, so you're working upwards towards the top of the neck of the jar and work your way round. Once you get to the top, your scissors, snip the string off, work it down with a bit of glue, and then a handy hint is if you've got a peg, or it could be a paper clip, just pop that on and it holds it in place while it dries. And there you've got your decoupage jar, all finished. So here's a jar that I've made earlier that's all dry, and we can add some little lights inside. These I think are bottle lights, but they work just as well, or fairy lights on a wire, and just pop those inside and then add some little lights to your jar. Adds a bit of twinkle. It's another jar that I made with a hair design. And for that, I've got some of these little battery tea lights. Pop those in. They work quite well. It's a jar, and I use some stripy tissue paper, so it doesn't always have to be kind of floral, it can be patterned. Pop some battery lights in there. And there we have a few different jars that I made before. So I've added those nice sparkly lights into the jar I've just made. Dim the lights, and just gives you a better impression of what the little tea lights look like at night. It's a nice little decoration. So I hope you've enjoyed today's decoupage jar craft, and hope you join us again when we'll have some more crafts that you can have a go at home.